A part of the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker novel just got leaked, and it revealed that Palpatine's body was actually a clone body that was on life support due to it not being able to handle his power. All of the Star Wars YouTubers are making videos like this is a big surprise, and the Star Wars haters are making videos on how this is just a Disney ass pull, and I'm just sitting here like, it was kind of obvious. Before I start explaining why it was obvious that he was a clone, I just want to give my mini disclaimer and say that I think his return should have been properly explained in the movie, and that you shouldn't need confirmation from the book. I'm just here to point out some of these YouTubers are letting their hate blind them. Just look at what this guy says.
There is no way in hell that Palpatine was actually a clone in The Rise of Skywalker. You have to be completely stupid to believe this.
He's saying you have to be completely stupid to believe Palpatine was a clone, which is not only false, and arguably the opposite, but he's using a tactic where he tries to make people feel bad about having an opposing opinion, which may influence people to side with him, especially younger viewers. Now to get into the actual evidence for Palpatine being a clone. The big thing that stood out to me with Palpatine in this movie was how his face was completely different from before. Every Star Wars fan should know that Palpatine's face was completely transformed after his fight with Mace Windu. Whether it be due to lightning scars or the reveal of his true face, it doesn't really matter. There was a change, and it looked evil and wrinkly for the rest of his life. That is, until the Rise of Skywalker. Even though his face still looked messed up and evil, that was due to being half dead. If you actually look at his skin, he no longer has the evil Sith wrinkles he once did. Just like how Kylo Ren realized it was a clone body in the novelization, that was my first reaction seeing his face in the movie theater. I obviously wasn't sure he was a clone, because Disney thought it was a good idea not to confirm it, but it was my number one theory. There's really no other good reason his face would have changed. You could argue he used Sith alchemy to change his face back, but there's no reason for him to do that like there would have been in the prequel trilogy. That would be like a basement dweller putting makeup on, even though they aren't even going to leave their room. This is further contradicted by the fact his face changed back to the wrinkled face we know and love after absorbing the dyad and bringing himself back to full power. However, this leads me into the only other option that might make sense, and that's his face turned back to normal because he was weakened, and became wrinkly again once his body was filled with large amounts of the darkside. However, I doubt that's how darkside degradation works. I think once your body deforms from abusing the darkside, it doesn't just go back to normal, and it's not like Palpatine ever stopped using the darkside. So there's no reason for him to lose his darkside degradation. Eckhart's Ladder tried to make the argument that Palpatine regaining his scars from the Mace Windu fight proves that it was his original body. But I think that rather just proves that they were never scars to begin with, but just darkside degradation, as I already said. Just think about it. Even if that is his real body, his scars were clearly not there at the beginning of the movie, so why the hell would regaining his power re-give him the lightning scars? That makes absolutely no sense. What does make sense is that absorbing large portions of the dark side messes Palpatine's face up, and that's clearly what happened here. His eyes turned yellow and his skin got wrinkled. He also brought up his wrinkled face not being a genetic component, but I think he's confused. When people say that's Palpatine's real face, they don't literally mean his actual face he got from his genes. They mean his face he got from the dark side. Eckhart's Ladder also said he thinks Palpatine's fingers coming off is from his use of Force Lightning right before dying. But this also makes no sense, as Force Lightning has never injured Palpatine's fingers any other time he's ever used it. What is clear is his body was decaying, and due to their small size, fingers are the first things to rot off. So I think it's pretty clear what happened. Palpatine died on the Death Star, after clearly blowing up twice. The blue mist was probably his spirit going to his clone body, though this part is my current headcanon right now. Then he inhabited this clone body which did not have the dark side degradation, but it was falling apart and dying because it was an imperfect vessel. Then at the end of the Rise of Skywalker, he absorbed the dyad, restoring himself back to full power and his dark side features along with it. There was also that one rebel mentioning cloning, dark science, and secrets only the Sith knew, when they were brainstorming how Palpatine came back. Even though that rebel would logically have no idea how Palpatine came back, I think from an out-of-universe perspective, it would make sense that the writers added that line in to give us a hint or point us in the right direction of what actually happened. I think a lot of people misinterpret his line as being 3 different options of how Palpatine actually came back, but I think it was just one. They used cloning to make Palpatine a new body, they used dark science to keep it alive, and Palpatine inhabiting the body with his spirit is a secret only the Sith know. There is also the fact his original body should have logically been destroyed in the Death Star. People might want to try and say his decaying body proves it's his dead original one, But the damage that body had was from the decay. There was no explosive injuries on it. Not only that, it was on life support, and it makes much more sense for a clone body that is dying to be on life support, rather than a body that is already dead being on life support. In conclusion, the evidence in The Rise of Skywalker has always pointed to his body being a clone, but that doesn't change the fact they should have explained it better in the film.